My name is Ingo Philipp. I'm on the product management team at Tricentis. And in this session, I want to show you our add-on. It's an add-on for Atlassian JIRA, and this add-on supports you in your exploratory testing endeavor. And therefore, we call it exploratory testing for JIRA. This add-on is already available on the Atlassian Marketplace since June last year. So please feel free to download, give it a try, and let us know what you think about it. So on the Atlassian Marketplace, you will see basic information, what our add-on is about. You will also have the full pricing information available, support information, all the versions we already released, and you will also find the installation instructions. Now let's see what the add-on is capable of doing. So in order to show you that, let me switch to my local JIRA server instance. Now once you have installed the add-on, you will see in an entry which is called Exploratory Sessions in the main navigation menu in JIRA. And you install that add-on in the same way you install any other add-on on the Atlassian Marketplace. Now let's jump to the first page, to an overview page, and on that page we see all the exploratory testing sessions you have created so far for a certain project in JIRA. And that project in JIRA is here called Vehicle Insurance. Now, an exploratory testing session is just an exploratory test event. It's a reviewable, charted, and uninterrupted unit of testing effort. That's what it is. Now, every row here represents such a test event. So you see here the name of a session. You see also the start date and time and the end date and time. You also see the information about the session owner. That means the person who organizes that test event, the number of testers you have assigned to that session, the overall session status, and the results. Of course, you can also include and exclude other columns in the same way you're used to do that in JIRA. You have also something which we call the quick filters, so you can quickly filter all the sessions you as a session owner has planned. By the way, I'm logged in as the user Emerald Co. for whatever reason. You can also quick filter all the sessions you have joined as a tester. You can also combine those quick filters easily with each other, and of course you can also search. Now let's jump to a session. All you need to do for that is you click on the session. Let's go to my favorite one, the Supermodel Tour. So that's here just the name of the session. Below you see all the testers, the session owner in that case, which is Mark Mo, assigned to that session. On the level of each tester, you see also the test status and the test results of the test carried out by that tester in that session. So on the level of John, that just says John completed his test, everything passed. That's highlighted by the green color. In contrast to that, on the level of Freda, that just says Freda completed her test, but something went wrong. Now next to that, you also see the session charter. That's just a mission statement you provide to all the testers in that session. Here you usually define the scope and the goals. You have all the formatting capabilities you need to have in order to properly provide the mission statement to all your testers. You can also assign documents, any kind of files to these testers and to that session, of course. And that might be specifications or design documentation. So anything that somehow enriches what you have written in your session charter. And you can even link that in your session charter. In the third tab, which we call Charter Issues, you see all the issues. For example, think of user stories in your current sprint you have assigned to that session. And you want to have all those testers testing against those user stories in that session. You can also distribute the workload a bit. That means you can assign specific user stories or any kind of issues to specific tester, as I've mentioned, to distribute the workload. Now in the last section, you also see all the issues, for example, defects that were raised by all these testers in that session. Why? Well, to measure somehow the efficiency of that exploratory test event. Now that's basically what you see on the level of a session. Next to that, you can also time box the session, provide a start date and time and an end date and time. Just select it, update it, and you're ready to go. Now let's see what a certain tester achieved. In order to see that, you just click on the name of the tester. You see here that's Emerald Co. in the Supermodel Tour. And these are all the exploratory scenarios Emerald has created so far in that session. And an exploratory scenario is nothing more than an object that we make use in order to capture certain test ideas of a tester. And now let me show you how we do that. Well, all you need to do in order to create a scenario, you need to say, well, I want to start testing. What then happens, we deploy a small app on your local machine in your local user profile. We call it the exploratory testing agent. And once that is done, it appears like that. So that's the start page of the agent. We call it the session manager. That's the first component. You have here two entry channels. You can either read the charter or you want to start testing right away. And now I'm lazy, I want to start testing right away. So when I do that, I can optionally also select all the issues I want now to test again. I can also say, well, I want to record only specific applications. By the way, that is exactly what our tool does. It supports you with a complete test documentation. That means we help you to record all your user interactions, mouse and keyboard interactions for any Windows technology. Now once you have selected that, you just click on Start. Then on the bottom left of the screen you see here a recording symbol which just lets you know that you can begin interacting with your desktop. All your interactions are being recorded with a screenshot. Now let's do something. So let's go to any application. Let's go to our famous vehicle insurance applications, our demo application. Let's do some exploration. Let's say our test idea is we want to create a quote for an automobile insurance. So we click on automobile, we select our Mercedes-Benz, everybody wants to have that. We select some engine performance here, some date of manufacture, number of seats, fuel type, list price, and everything in the background was now captured. So you don't really feel it, that's the cool thing about it. And I imagine you found the bug. Oh, this field, that shouldn't be a mandatory field, it's highlighted. That should be an optional field, so let's document that. Now in order to do that, all you need to do is to stop the recording. Once you do that, you'll go back to our exploratory testing agent. And here on the left-hand side, you see all the interactions you have carried out so far. Now, for each interaction, we say, well, what was the application you've interacted with? Here, for example, with the Windows taskbar. And what was the type of interaction you carried out? Like here, you clicked on some button, on the Tricentis Vehicle Insurance Internet Explorer button. And on the right-hand side, you see the corresponding screenshot. And the cool thing about this is it's annotated, as you can see here below. So you don't just know what type of interaction you carried out, also where you carried out an interaction. And that's an annotation. So you can move them around, you can change the size of it. You can also change here the font size and the font type, for example. And in that way, you can easily walk through every single interaction you've carried out so far. And we also highlight here the controls you've interacted with on the UI. Again, you can reshape those controls, you can move them around, you can change the color of those annotations. You can add other annotations like blur annotations. These guys are especially helpful when you want to hide some sensitive information from others. Or you can add some rectangles, ellipses, lines, arrows, also some text box annotations to document whatever you want to document. Now with these buttons below, you can then walk through every interaction as you have seen it before. Now you can also set results here, say, well, everything has been passed until that point, something went wrong here. You can also decide whether you want to keep all those screenshots or not. You can always proceed with the recording of your users' interactions. You also can record a video, including your voice, in case you can't describe defects just with a screenshot. Video is pretty helpful, so that's easy to do. You can also raise issues. Just click on the Raise Issue button, select the issue you want to have raised, the task, story, bug, and epic. We fetch every issue type you have defined in JIRA for that certain project. Let's create a bug here. You can also define the priority, some summary, some description. You just raise the issue. That issue is then being linked to that scenario, what we have created so far. You can create and link as many issues as you want. So, of course, you can interact with the documentation. So that's just a proposal we make. As you can see, you can rewrite everything, modify everything as you want. You can also merge those steps easily with each other or have a full undo, redo. You can also add steps manually and add screenshots manually. So that's also nice. So you have the power about what is being in that test documentation, basically. Okay, so let's then say, well, we want to share the results. What we need to do is we save and close. We'll come back to our session manager. Here we see then the scenario we have created. Let's just rename that to Accelerate or something like that. It's pretty hard to type like this. You can always create new scenarios like this. You can continue existing scenarios or just delete that. In these sections you also have coverage information about all the charter issues and how they are linked to the issues you've raised and to the scenarios you've created. And it's the same game with the raised issues section. Here you just see all, for example, defects you have raised in your exploration. So let's share the results. Let's upload them back to JIRA. So all you need to do is to complete your session. Then, the data being transferred to the JIRA server. You click on exit. You'll come back then to the session, and here you see that's exactly the scenario we've created. In that way, I've created all those scenarios, and you can even type deeper here in JIRA. So let's see what this scenario was about. I click on the scenario. I see that's the scenario called Create Automobile Insurance. It was created by Emerald Co. in the Supermodel Tour. You see basic information about the scenario. For example, the corresponding session, the corresponding project, the overall result, the number of screenshots, the people that worked on that scenario, the system information, basic information on your client machine, and also the applications you have interacted with while you were creating that scenario. And of course, full traceability to all the issues you have linked that scenario with. Now, when you then click on one of those issues, like let's take this one here, let's open in another tab. Then you see here on the level of any user story, any issue in JIRA, you see also that this issue, for example, has been tested within the Supermodel Tour. You have created this scenario and you have raised this defect, for example. And from that, you can easily jump back to the scenario itself. That is what a developer would do and say, well, I want to now see what the tester did. All you need to do is need to play back, and then the developer can play back every single action the testers carried out in order to be able to reproduce the debug. And so this pane is not just about the screenshots, it's also about the videos you've created, so you can also easily play back the videos. This is, in rough terms, what our add-on for JIRA called Exploratory Testing for JIRA is about. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.